So this is a bit of an emergency topic. I did manage to squeeze this in before the hostilities started and the Israeli-Palestine war started. It's been difficult to speak about anything else. But I addressed it in Central Masjid. I haven't had the chance to do it here. When I teach youth, like adolescents, the 13 to 18 year age group and so on, what I've consistently found is there are some basic fundamentals of Islamic law, of fiqh, that they seem to be oblivious of, despite attendance in madrasa, despite growing up in Muslim families and so on and so forth. And these are the rules of adolescence, the rules of going through puberty and so on. And having consistently seen that they don't know this, I've started to be concerned that it may be that many adults don't know this either. So I'm going to go through it. There's another issue I'm going to talk about in the next khutbah, inshallah. But this one I want to quickly run through as quickly as I can. So in our tradition, in Islamic law, at least according to the Hanafi madhab, a young person reaches puberty physically. And this opens up an embarrassing conversation with young people, which parents and teachers have to have. Because physical puberty, in the case of boys, it commences when they have their first sexual dream or wet dream. So as a father or a mother, it's like this taboo has to be broken, because the Sharia recognizes your son's transition into adulthood with this physical experience, which is can you think about it for a young, I know nowadays we live in a society where they're already familiar with this before it happens. But this would have, for a child who is innocent of this would be quite a strange experience. But anyway, but what are they supposed to do when that happens? But let's face it, it's kind of embarrassing, right? It's embarrassing. What are they supposed to do? And how are they supposed to know what to do if either it's not been addressed in madrasa, or it's been addressed but they've forgotten it, and parents haven't addressed it either? What are they supposed to do? So they try and hide it from mum and dad, throw their pajamas in the wash basket, probably for the first time in their lives. Normally mum does it. And then carry on. For girls, it is equally an embarrassing experience. Of course, their maturity commences with menstruation. What happens if parents have not had that conversation, right? Okay, you're going to say, oh, of course, it's been discussed in school, in science, and in sex education, and etc., etc. But here's the real issue. Here's the real emergency. Once a young boy or girl experiences this, right, they now go into a state known as al-hadath al-akbar, right, which is major ritual impurity. They have now, for the first time in their lives, experienced major ritual impurity. So what that means is, when you're in need of wudu, and you have to make wudu, like you've been to the toilet or something like that, your wudu broke. That state is called minor ritual impurity, al-hadath al-asghar, right? Major ritual impurity is when a person has experienced sexual relations with their spouse, or a wet dream, and so on, those kind of things, right? And similarly, major ritual impurity exists for a woman during menstruation. The only way to come out of that is through a ritual bath. Through a ritual bath. And a ritual bath is not a shower. It's not a soak in the bathtub, right? But it is to go through the specific acts of rinsing one's mouth, right, at least once, rinsing one's nose at least once. According to the Shafi'is, Hanbalis and Malikis, you also have to have intention, all right? And then washing the whole body down, having already removed any impurity upon you. This is called a fard bath. Without this, a young person cannot become ritually pure again. Now here's the real twist. When you have no major ritual impurity, when you are in a state of major ritual impurity and you have no ritual purity in the major sense, minor purity doesn't count. That means in this state, wudu doesn't count. You can make 10 wudus, you're not pure. And therefore salah is not done. Therefore Quran recitation, and in that state even recitation of Quran isn't permissible, let alone touching the Quran, that's already haram. In that state going into the masjid is haram. For both men and for women. Right? All that's required is that ritual bath. But it's so significant that without it, wudu isn't permissible. As in, wudu doesn't count. You can come to the masjid, make wudu, you can read all of your du'as, you can make a very, very sincere wudu. Doesn't count until the ritual bath has been done. I've come across young brothers and sisters, boys and girls, who've prayed for 3, 4 years, 5 years, and they've never done. You know, they've reached maturity, and they've been praying, they're committed to salah, going to the masjid, etc. 3, 4 years, 5 years later, they find out about the ritual bath, and they've never done one. Parents often realize that they need to say something to their children, so they'll say, go and have a shower. But brothers and sisters, a shower isn't a ritual bath. A ritual bath requires specific things to be done. All right? And I wouldn't be surprised if many adults don't know this. All right? When I gave this same khutbah in Central Masjid, brothers came up to me and said, Sheikh, thank you for this. I didn't know. And I'm talking about full-grown adults in their 20s and 30s coming up saying, I didn't know this. So this is what I call emergency fiqh, brothers and sisters. And I'll end with this, because this is the bit I missed. If a young person, then this is in, you know, like if you look, there is no haya in this issue. You must talk to your children about this, right? Close to when they start to reach the age where this could happen. You know, for boys in Sharia, the minimum age at which puberty is legally accepted, i.e. before it becomes premature, is 12. And anytime after, physical maturity or physical puberty it counts, right? So they have to have the bath, etc., etc. And for girls, it's 9. So before 9, if they start menstruation, then they haven't reached puberty. And anytime after 9, if they start, they have reached puberty. Now, if, this is just a bit of detail, if they don't reach physical puberty, they don't reach puberty through physical experience, right? Then, by age, and this happens to a lot of young people, by the way, right? They go through 12 years old, 13 years old, and they haven't had any physical experience. If that happens, then by age, they officially reach puberty at 14 years and 7 months, which is 15 lunar years. So 15 lunar years is what our textbooks say, and that comes to that basically is the equivalent of 14 years and 7 months. This is emergency fiqh. Right, I'm going to do another emergency fiqh session next week, and this time it's going to be about talaq, because these things are coming to me, and I think everybody needs to know. So please remember this. Young people need to know this. This is really serious stuff. You know, can you imagine like how jolting it would be as a young person if this was not taught to you and you were committed to your salah and everything, right? And then you found out that your salah isn't counted because nobody taught you about major ritual impurity. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the tawfiq to increase in knowledge, inshallah, and to raise young people on the deen correctly. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه الغفور الرحيم.